Last November, a local in South Carolina is out in the woods. He filmed something screaming. And in his own words, it was like the man was screaming in hunger. It knew I was watching. That video got 140,000 views now. What he filmed isn't supposed to be possible. It isn't supposed to be in South Carolina. It lives 1,500 miles north of there, where the Algonquin tribes have been warning people about it for 400 years. So what's been in those woods since 2020 when he first started filming? Because 4 states are now reporting the exact same thing. None of these people have talked to each other. Andrew here for Permanent Underclass, where we explore the weird stuff your therapist would tell you to avoid. The oh cool, now I'll never sleep again side of reality. If you're easily scared, easily offended, or easily anything, you're in the wrong place. So what is it we're talking about? Because I think the internet butchers this every single time. A Wendigo isn't some generic scary movie monster. It belongs to the Algonquin tribes, the Anamashibi, the Cree, and the Ojibwe, the Innu. Their stories, their ancestors, 400 years of documented sightings, warnings passed down in a language that had the words for this thing before Europeans even knew that the continent existed. The description is specific. It's a humanoid creature. It's emaciated, starving. It's the point where it's skeletal. But it's impossibly tall, and its skin is pulled tight over the bones. Its eyes are sunk deep, and it smells like decay. And the hunger is the whole point. It never stops. It's a spirit of winter, of isolation, of what happens when a human crosses a line they shouldn't have crossed. The tribes didn't treat it as entertainment. They treat it as a warning. The Ojibwe even held ceremonial dances during famine, not to celebrate, but to reinforce the taboo, to remind people that whatever the Wendigo is, you don't want to become one. That's the creature, and that's the territory. And now it gets weird. This is supposed to be a cold country Arctic spirit. Subarctic. Canada, Ontario, Manitoba, northern Minnesota at the lowest latitude. Places where winters kill, where people freeze and starve. It's a frigid graveyard. South Carolina is not that. South Carolina is 40 degrees in the winter. They've got deer, they've got sweet tea, 1,500 miles south of where this thing is supposed to exist, where this thing shouldn't be. And yet, this sighting started in 2020. They spread. 4 states now report the same creature in territory that shouldn't have any Wendigos at all. So either the story is wrong or the thing moved. Where did it move to? Because if it moved over 4 states in 5 years, there are independent witnesses who don't know each other, and they're all describing the same creature moving, every single one of them. And yet they're told that they're wrong. They're told that they've misidentified a bear, or they've bought into mass hysteria, or their kids made them watch too many horror movies, or adults are confusing big animals for monsters, and that's it, case closed. So how can they be copying each other when they don't know each other and they don't know each other's stories and they're describing the same thing? What if all of them are describing the same real thing because that's actually what they saw? What if we just tried to believe them? Why would 4 different people in 4 different states describe a creature the exact same way? Tall, emaciated, screaming like a man in hunger, moving through the forest like it weighs nothing, when most of them have never even heard the word Wendigo. Winter of 2020, upstate South Carolina. A couple watches something move through the trees. Too big to be a bear, too fast and effortless to be a human. They're freaked out. They run. 5 years later, they still don't know what they saw. And this was before the TikTok Wendigo wave. These people weren't copying anyone, they just saw it. Winter 2024, Ebenezer Park, South Carolina. 15 minutes from the North Carolina line. Multiple witnesses, something breaking a tree in half, and it goes viral, the video. September 2025, North Georgia, deep Appalachian territory. A guy films what he calls the weirdest owl he's ever seen. It sounds like a man screeching. November 2025, in York County, the trail video. Screaming in hunger, and it knew what it was. I was watching it. That video got 140,000 views. Kentucky, Land Between the Lakes, has ongoing reports of the same thing. 4 states, 5 years, hunters, hikers, farmers, normal people. People who know what a bear sounds and looks like. And they're saying, no, that's not a bear. So if it's not a bear, then what is it? Way before 2020, way before the Algonquin name came south, the Cherokee already knew something lived in these mountains. They had a name for it, Spearfinger. In Cherokee, Yultan, a stone-skinned shapeshifter that lived in western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee. What does it look like? What shape does it imitate? It imitates an old woman who eats human livers. The Cherokee pointed out in her cave, which is now in Blount County, Tennessee, they call it the place Yultantani, the Spearfinger place. It's on the maps and you can drive to it. Stone Man, another Cherokee creature, even harder to kill. Made of rock. Same mountains, same appetite for human organs. Common name is river mocker. Withered, emaciated, flew through the air and preyed on the dying, specifically their hearts. These aren't Wendigos exactly. The Cherokee and Algonquin are different nations, different languages, different cosmologies. Don't conflate them, don't confuse them. But how many separate tribes across thousands of miles speaking completely different languages all warn their people about the same thing? A tall, starving creature, lives in remote forests, eats humans, is always hungry and never full. The Cherokee didn't even borrow the Wendigo story. They already had one. Under a different name, in a different language, on a different piece of land. Okay, quick pause. If your brain is doing the math right now, mental math, same creature, different tribes, thousands of miles apart, and it's bothering you a little bit, do me a favor. Like this video and subscribe. It helps. And if you want more of this, follow Permanent Underclass on TikTok and Instagram, and on X, at The Underclasser. I post stuff there that doesn't always make it to YouTube. So, for everyone who thinks this is fake news, here's a documented real case. 1878 in central Alberta, Canada, a Cree trapper named Swift Runner spends the winter in the bush with his wife Charlotte and their 6 children, his mother and his brother. By spring, they're all dead, all 9 of them. He, Swift Runner, didn't just kill them, he ate them, one by one, over the winter. He opened their bones, skillfully cut down the middle to get to the bone marrow, and ate it. And here's the official on-record explanation. He wasn't starving. Investigators found dried meat hanging in his camp. He could have eaten that. He had food. He chose this. He chose to kill them, remove their organs, dissect their bodies, and eat their organs, eat their bone marrow, all while dried meat, deer meat, was hanging in the camp waiting for him. He was arrested. He confessed. At his trial at Fort Saskatchewan, he told the court exactly what had happened. He said he'd been possessed by a Wendigo, literally The Cree tradition taught him that what a Wendigo was. When it came for him, he knew exactly what was happening. They hanged him in December 1878. It's the first legal execution in Alberta, Canada. Officially, he had Wendigo psychosis, a culture-bound syndrome that happens to show up in specific populations and happens to match their mythology exactly. But a 1916 report looking at multiple cases of cannibalism in the area, not just Swift Runner's story, put this in writing. Not one instance could plead hunger, much less famine, as an excuse. Multiple men, different winters, none of them were starving, and all of them have the same word. Psychiatrists call it delusion, but this delusion shows up and ends with a man eating his own family while food hangs 10 feet away. Another occurrence. Basil Johnston, an Ojibwe scholar from Ontario, Canada. He spent his life documenting traditions passed down by elders of his tribe. This is how he describes the Wendigo. As a gaunt, emaciated, dried skin pulling tight over the bones, ash gray complexion, sunken eyes so deep they disappear, lips tattered and bloody, and a body that smells like decay and rot. He called it a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. That description came from the traditions passed down by the elders, documented before modern cameras existed, before any pop culture Wendigo, before TikTok. The 2020 couple in upstate South Carolina, the too big to be a bear moving through the trees moving like it weighed nothing. There's the North Georgia guy in 2025 that sounds like a man screaming. The York County witness of 2025 screaming in hunger, it knew I was watching it guy. These are the exact same words as the native stories. And they don't have to be the exact same words as the native stories. What matters is they're describing the same thing. A gaunt, tall, starving, inhuman that moves totally wrong. None of these people were reading Basil Johnston. They were in the woods. They saw something. We have one Ojibwe scholar 100 years ago documenting oral tradition from the far north. 4 witnesses from southern states in the last 5 years, all describing the same thing. And the Appalachians, the Smokies, the 4-state corridor where the sightings are coming from, have a problem. People disappear there, and not the way that you'd expect. A former cop named David Paldies has spent years documenting the pattern. Over 1,200 cases across Canada and the US. National parks in the last 50 years. Not ordinary missing persons, a specific type of missing persons report. Here's what it is. Experienced hikers at daylight, often in groups. They step behind a tree and then they're gone. Tracking dogs arrive and lose the scent or refuse to track. Weeks of searching, nothing. Then something, sometimes months later, remains turn up in areas already searched. Sometimes people are found alive, miles away from where they vanished, confused, feverish, no memory. Dennis Martin was 6 years old. He vanished from Great Smoky Mountain National Park in 1969. He was playing hide and seek. 1,400 volunteers came to find him. 50 miles searched. He was never found. Paldies didn't name what was doing it. He just catalogs the pattern that we just discussed in the same mountain where people in 2020s saw something they couldn't explain. In the same mountains where the Cherokee tradition names the creature that eats humans. People have been vanishing for over a century without explanation, without bodies, and without reason. It's probably a coincidence, right? It's definitely not a coincidence. A viral video in South Carolina 4 states over 5 years. Witnesses who don't know each other describing the same creature in the wrong place, 1,500 miles from where it should be. Indigenous traditions in the North and South separately. Naming a creature that fits all the same profile, tall, gaunt, starving, and eating humans. A documented 1879 case of a man who killed and ate 9 members of his family. They said he was possessed and he wasn't starving when he did it. Basil Johnston's description from Ojibwe oral tradition, matching almost word for word what people are filming in 2025. 1,200 disappearances in national parks. Dennis Martin, 6 years old, gone. Every piece can be explained away in its own type of way. One viral video is a hoax. One cryptid a mythology, one case of cannibalism is mental illness, one missing kid is a tragedy. But if you put it all together, in the same mountains with the same description across hundreds of years, and something is happening in those woods and we don't have a name for it yet. Except we do have a name for it. They've had a name for it since before English existed on this continent. And maybe the reason those people in 2020 described exactly what the Ojibwe elders described is because the elders were right. Something lives in those mountains and it's been there all along and it's still hungry. And that's where I'm going to leave it. If you made it this far, you're one of us. So do me a favor, like this video and subscribe. It actually helps. And if you want more of this, follow me at Permanent Underclass on TikTok and Instagram, and on X at The Underclasser. I post things there that don't always make it to YouTube. Let's stay out of the woods.